Elite Training Solutions have been asked to commission independent external evaluation within the Working Sense project for the purpose of understanding and interpreting the quantitative outputs and outcomes, plus qualitative delivery processes. It will measure whether the anticipated effects and long-term benefits, including the impacts and legacy influencing, have been realized in terms of employment and development for people with sensory loss or disability. Alongside this, evaluation will need to demonstrate consistency with UK government's funding requirements. Evaluation will occur at many different points with both the participant and the employer. There have been different evaluation forms created to allow us to capture relevant information at relevant points with the project process. This overview is designed to provide you with an understanding of the evaluation process, the documents to be used, and the timings of each. Let's take a look at the different evaluation documents that exist. The first document that will need to be completed is the consent form. There is a consent form for the participant and one for the employer. The consent form for the participant is the Participant Consent Form, which is COS Form 1. The consent form for the employer is the Employer Consent Form, which is COS Form 2. The consent forms also contain frequently asked questions. This is to assist both the advisor and participant or employer to understand the purpose of the evaluation and process. The forms will need to be forwarded to CRIST English, Elite Training Solutions as soon as they are completed. If the participant agrees to take part in the evaluation, then the consent form for the participant will need to be completed during the initial assessment stage. If the employer agrees to take part in the evaluation, then the consent form would need to be completed during the initial placement or paid job planning stage. The second document that will need to be completed is the Vocational Skills Profile. This assessment is to be completed by the employment advisor from COS up to 3 different occasions during the participant's journey. The purpose of these assessments is to be able to measure the participant's skill levels at the start and the end of the process. The first vocational skills assessment needs to be completed immediately after the vocational profile or initial assessment. Use Vocational Skills Profile for referral using COS Form 3. The second vocational skills assessment needs to be completed 1 to 3 months into a placement, or at the end of the placement if it ends prior to then. Use Vocational Skills Profile for placement using COS Form 4. The third vocational skills assessment needs to be completed 1 to 3 months into a paid job, or at the end of the paid job if it ends prior to then. Use Vocational Skills Profile for paid job using COS Form 5. Each of the completed vocational skills profile assessments need to be forwarded to CRIST English at Elite Training Solutions as soon as possible. The third document that will need to be completed is the Index of Typicalness of Placement form. This assessment is to be completed by the employment advisor from COS up to 2 different occasions during the participant's journey. The purpose of these assessments is to be able to measure how well the participant's experience compares to other co-workers. The first typicalness form needs to be completed 1 to 3 months into a placement, or at the end of the placement if it ends prior to then. Use Index of Typicalness of Placement questionnaire for placement stage using COS Form 6. The second typicalness form needs to be completed 1 to 3 months into a paid job, or at the end of the paid job if it ends prior to then. Index of Typicalness of Placement questionnaire for paid job using COS Form 7. Each of the completed Index of Typicalness of Placement questionnaire forms need to be forwarded to CRIST English at Elite Training Solutions as soon as possible. The fourth document that will need to be completed is the Employment Integration Index. This assessment is to be completed by the employment advisor from COS up to 2 different occasions during the participant's journey. The purpose of these assessments is to be able to measure how well the participant has integrated within their settings. The first Employment Integration Index form needs to be completed 1 to 3 months into a placement, or at the end of the placement if it ends prior to then. Use Employment Integration Index form for placement using COS Form 8. The second Employment Integration Index form needs to be completed 1 to 3 months into a paid job, or at the end of the paid job if it ends prior to then. Use Employment Integration Index form for paid job using COS Form 9. Each of the completed Employment Integration Index forms need to be forwarded to CRIST English at Elite Training Solutions as soon as possible. In addition to you as employment advisors, There will also be documents that Chris English at Elite Training Solutions will complete with both the participant and the employer. Chris will complete a participant's evaluation form with the participant following their initial assessment, between month 1 and 3 of a placement and between months 1 and 3 of a paid job. In addition to this, Chris will also ask the employer to complete an evaluation form between month 1 and 3 of any placement and between months 1 and 3 of any paid jobs. Let's take a look at a flowchart. The flowchart begins with establishing whether or not the participant agrees to take part in the evaluation project. If the participant refuses, then they will be excluded from the evaluation project. However, hopefully they will agree, and it is then at this stage that you have the participant to complete the participant consent form, which is COS Form 1. The consent form will then need to be forwarded to Chris English at Elite Training Solutions. The next stage is the initial assessment. Once you have completed this, you need to complete the vocational skills profile for referral stage, which is COS Form 3. Once again, this needs to be forwarded to Chris English. It is also at this stage that Chris English will contact the participant via their requested method and complete a participant evaluation questionnaire, which is ETS Form 1. If you are able to set up a placement or paid job opportunity with an employer, then it is at this stage that you ask the employer to participate in the evaluation project and complete the employer consent form, which is COS Form 2. This is forwarded to Chris English. When the placement gets to month 1 to month 3, then the employment advisor will need to complete a new vocational skills profile form, which is COS Form 4. You will also need to complete the index of typicalness of placement questionnaire for the placement stage, which is COS Form 6, and the employment integration index form, which is COS Form 8. All forms will need to be forwarded to Chris English. Alongside this, Chris English will complete another participant evaluation form on the placement and complete the first employer evaluation with the employer. Finally, when you have secured a paid job for the participant, in month 1 to month 3, you will need to complete a third vocational skills profile, which is COS Form 5, a new typicalness index for the paid job, which is COS Form 7, and lastly a new employment integration index form for the paid job, which is COS Form 9. During month 1 to month 3 of the paid job, Chris English will also complete a further participant and employer evaluation form. I hope this flowchart allows you to understand which documents are completed at which points. Remember, any form that is a COS form must be completed by a COS employment advisor. Any form which is an ETS form will be completed by Chris English. To summarize, as employment advisors, you will be responsible for completing various forms during the participant's journey within Working Sense. For the evaluation project to be successful and reach its objectives, it is vitally important that these forms are completed correctly and in a timely manner, and forwarded to Chris English as soon as possible. Thank you for your support, and don't hesitate to seek support if you need it. Thanks for listening.